failure of this week's peace talks in Geneva has added extra urgency to tackling the humanitarian disaster caused by the war. The talks were suspended on Tuesday after just 3 days. Well, let's go to Simon McGregor Wood, who's been following those peace negotiations in Geneva for us all of last week. He joins me now live. Simon, we knew it was going to be tough, but did we think that they would break down so quickly?
Well, it certainly wasn't the hope, certainly not of the UN Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura, who retained as much positive energy throughout this process as he could, but as he admitted and as the opposition was never hesitant to tell us, while things were boiling on the battlefield of Syria with this new Syrian government offensive near Aleppo, the pressure on this process became intolerable. Now, to discuss a little bit more about what went wrong and the chances for success, I'm delighted to be joined by Farah Tassi. We've spoken before. A long night last night, ultimately very disappointing, certainly for the UN. I sensed a little bit of frustration on the part of Mr. de Mistura. In a nutshell, what went wrong and why did you decide to pull away for now?
We decided to pause because we're going nowhere. We can't just go on, and the regime and the Russians are escalating militarily and on the ground. We came here in a hope of to start a peace negotiation. How you can be a sponsor? I'm asking the Russian how you can be a sponsor of a discussion that hopefully will lead to peace and security and stability in the region, and at the same time you are bombing daily the civilian neighborhoods, specifically in the suburb of Aleppo and Homs. So that was not logical. That was not good signs from the Russians. We came here with a good faith as a Syrian opposition to help our people, to end the suffering of the Syrian people, to lift the siege, to release the detainee. We didn't come here to watch the Russians and the regime advance militarily, whereas we're just engaged endlessly about just implementing Articles 12 and 13. We didn't come here just to talk about, these two issues.
So, Mr. de Mistura indicated that he wants you to come back on the 25th of February. I think ideally he'd like you to come back sooner than that. How optimistic are you that you will get back involved in this process, and what needs to happen on the diplomatic front to persuade you to come back?
Yeah, we always said we're very serious, we're ready, our files are ready, our hearts, our soul, we are ready. We are, as an opposition, really ready to engage in serious talks. However, the ball is not in our court. The ball is in the international community court, specifically now the United States. The United States has to step up because they are one of the sponsors.
Are you disappointed in the US? Are you disappointed?
We are so disappointed because of this weak position, specifically because United States, one of the main sponsors, like Russia with the, putting Geneva too. And we're also disappointed from other countries. The UK position was great, and we heard a very good statement about describing the Russian attacks on Syria as war crimes. We want more serious efforts from our friends and allies, and we're having on the 11th, and as you know, February, a very important meeting that we hope the international community will sit together and have the serious will to engage and end, first of all, this escalation from the Russian and also from the regime. As I said, we as a team, we are ready. We are ready to engage when we have seriousness and responsibility. The international community, they have to act in a very responsible way to push forward. We cannot do anything right now other than wait till we have the assurances, and we already got assurances from the UN, and we came here. However, we want the assurances and actions, not words, from our friends and allies on the 11th.
All right, Farah, thank you very much. That's all we have time for now. I think Farah's referring to the meetings that need to take place in the Munich Security Conference. That's an annual thing where the great and the good of foreign policy turn up. John Kerry, Sergei Lavrov, his Russian opposite number. That's on the 11th in Munich. Farah and other members of the HNC will probably be there. That is when there's going to be some very significant diplomatic meetings. Clearly, the HNC is expressing its willingness to re-engage with this process, but not until more pressure, I think, is put on the Russians to cool things on the ground. Back to you.
Okay, Simon, good to get that update from you. Simon McGregor speaking to the Syrian opposition group, the HNC.